good, y'all? Welcome back to another video. We're gonna do a quick recent reads. If you hear screeching and screaming outside, I swear I'm not hiding a body. I swear it's the wind. It's been crazy weather out here, so don't mind that. Also, the lighting comes in and out. Don't mind that either, okay? Let's just jump into it. So the first book I'm gonna talk about is a book that I actually finished this morning, and y'all, I was so into this book. It had me on the edge of my seat the whole time. And this one was called When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I got this recommendation off of TikTok. I typed in thrillers by Black authors and this one came up multiple times, so I decided to check it out, and it had me hooked from the very beginning. So basically this story follows it alternates perspectives, and we go through Theo's perspective and Sydney's perspective. And we'll start with Sydney. She's a black woman, a young black woman, and she is living in Brooklyn, New York. She's lived there her whole life, and all of a sudden she's noticing that gentrification is happening. Her neighborhood is changing at a rapid pace, and the people that she grew up with, her neighbors, are all of a sudden disappearing without saying goodbye. So weird things start happening. This is a thriller. It's like Get Out vibes. It's really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then Theo is a white guy who moves into one of the disappearing neighbors' houses, and they join teams on a research project and things unfold from there. So you guys, this book talks about corruption, capitalism, erasure of culture, gentrification. Like, it goes into so many different themes and topics, and I was angry, I was on the edge of my seat, I was nervous, I was kind of scared. Like, it was a really, really good book. It really evoked emotion. It had a lot of plot twists that I wasn't necessarily expecting, but overall just the themes, the way they are able to reveal things that are happening in society in a way that it was just creepy and eerie, and you know, it was such a good book. So I highly recommend it. I will read you the synopsis. It says, Rear Window meets Get Out in this gripping thriller from critically acclaimed and New York Times notable author, in which gentrification of a Brooklyn neighborhood takes on a sinister new meaning. Sydney Green is a Brooklyn born and raised, but her beloved neighborhood seems to change every time she blinks. Condos are sprouting like weeds, for sale signs are popping up overnight, and the neighbors she's known for her whole entire life are disappearing. To hold on to her community's past and present, Sydney channels her frustration into a walking tour and finds an unlikely and unwanted assistant in one of her new arrivals on the block, her new neighbor, Theo. Hey, leave it alone, buddy. It's my dog. But Sydney and Theo's deep dive into history quickly becomes a dizzying descent into paranoia and fear. Their neighbors may have not moved to the suburbs after all, and the push to revitalize the community may be more deadly than advertised. When does coincidence become conspiracy? Where do people go when gentrification pushes them out? Can Sydney and Theo trust each other or themselves long enough to find out before they too disappear? You guys, read this book. It was so good. It was for me a 4-star. I really, really enjoyed it. I would highly recommend this book. I'm not a huge person who reads thrillers, but I am trying to like diversify my palette more, and this was like really has me hooked. I'm about to read another thriller right after I film this video. So yes, I love this one. I actually listened to all of these, you guys, so that debate between doesn't count, it counts, okay? I love audiobooks. I'm also an actress, so I love to hear narrations and voiceovers and all of that. So the next book that I read is, or listened to / read, is hold on, let me deal with my dog. Hey, hi, I love you. You're saying hi to the people? Okay, back up, Chavo. Go lay down. I'm filming right now, buddy. We have a dog park like right outside my door, outside the window, so he's upset. He's not out at the park right now. Okay, anyway, so sorry, you guys. The next book that I read was called A Small Place, and I gave this one 4 stars as well. This was really short. It was only 2 hours. I listened to it on Libby, and this was an expansive essay about colonialism and its effects on the island of Antigua. You guys, I knew nothing of Antigua. The only reason I picked up this book, 1, is because it was Jamaica Kincaid, but 2, it was No Name's it was a No Names book club for I think like the February read, if I'm not mistaken. So No Names suggested I'm gonna read it. It's more an essay. It's an expansive essay, like more than it is a book, but whatever. It was really, really good, you guys. It really talks about Jamaica Kincaid's life growing up on Antigua and how she witnessed colonialism change her island and change her home and erase, again, with the erasure of culture and history, etc. Something that really stuck out to me was after a natural disaster, they had all of their library was lost, and they lost all their books, and the way that the literacy dropped, the knowledge, the economy, so much dropped after they lost their library. And just really goes to show the power of knowledge and what that does to a community when they have access to knowledge. It's such a privilege, it's so important, and yeah. It definitely just seeing the effects of colonialism on this island made me reflect on what's happening here in the US right now, and it's crazy. It's really crazy. So let me read you this synopsis. This was my first Jamaica Kincaid book, as I said, and it's definitely not going to be my last. I actually own a couple, so I need to like read them, physical copies. But this says, if you go to Antigua, from award-winning author of Annie John comes a brilliant look at colonialism and its effects in Antigua. If you go to Antigua as a tourist, this is what you will see. If you come by airplane, you will land at the V.C. Byrd International Airport. V.C. Byrd is the Prime Minister of Antigua. You may be the sort of tourist who would wonder why a Prime Minister would want an airport named after him. Why not a school? Why not a hospital? Why not some great public monument? And you are a tourist, and you have not yet seen, begins Jamaica Kincaid's expansive essay, which shows us what we have not seen of the 10 by 12 mile island in the British West Indies where she grew up. Lyrical, sardonic, and forthright by turns in a Swiftian mode, Small Place could not help but amplify our vision of one small place and all that it signifies. Yeah, this was just honestly a great lesson, like a great history lesson, and I would recommend it. I knew nothing of Antigua before I started this book, and just learning about corruption and all the ways that Britain has corrupted this world and the colonizers have corrupted this world is really insane. And I don't know, I feel like when you can learn from people who have gone through colonization and have been able to retain culture and retain their homeland, etc. There's just so much to learn because all cultures have experienced being colonized in some way or another. So the more that we learn about each other and the more that we talk to each other about what's going on, I think the more powerful we are. So the next book we have is called Luster by Raven Leilani. I know this one made its rounds on TikTok, so you may have heard of it before, but you guys, I really enjoyed this book. I feel like you kind of have to be in a dark place to want to read this book. It's pretty dark and just raunchy, and there's a lot of spice and all of that. But let me read you the synopsis and then I'll give you my opinion. So it says, no one wants what no one wants. And how do we even know what we want? How do we know we're ready to take it? Eddie is stumbling her way through her 20s, sharing a subpar apartment in Bushwick, clocking in and out of her admin job, making a series of inappropriate sexual choices. She is also haltingly, fitfully giving heat and air to the art that simmers inside of her. Then she meets Eric, a digital archivist, I think that's how you say that, and with a family in New Jersey, including an autopsist wife, who has agreed to an open marriage with rules. As if navigating the constantly shifting landscapes of contemporary sexual manners and real racial politics weren't hard enough, Eddie finds herself unemployed and invited into Eric's home, though not by Eric. She becomes hesitant ally to his wife and a de facto role model to his adopted daughter, Eddie. Eddie may be the only black woman young Akila, the daughter, knows. Irresistibly unruly and strikingly beautiful, razor-sharp and slyly comic, sexually charged and utterly absorbing, Raven Leilani's Luster is a portrait of a young woman trying to make sense of her life, her hunger, her anger, in a tumultuous era, and it is also a haunting, aching description of how hard it is to believe in your own talent and the unexpected influences that bring us into ourselves along the way. So like I said, yeah, she meets this guy and he's in a weird place in his marriage. They end up having relations together and she's invited into this open marriage. She lives in this house and jealousy, scheming, scandal is involved, but also just giving into those darker urges that people may have, giving into the wounds and the behaviors that are caused by these wounds that we may or may not know that we have. It was a really good book. It definitely, she was the protagonist slash antagonist, and really she was her worst enemy, and she was very unhealed, Eddie, the main character. But I just related to her in a lot of ways in my past life, and just understand like we can make horrible decisions because we are hurt, because we are wounded, because we're misguided, whatever the reason is. And this book really shows that, but that you're still worthy of love despite those decisions that you have made in the past or are currently making. So honestly, for me, the book was less about the plot and more about the writing. Like Raven Leilani's writing was beautiful. It was edgy, dark, raunchy, beautiful, like poetic. It was just truthful, honest. It was really brutal. Like the brutal honesty was like something that really stood out to me. I really, really like her writing. I recommended this to a friend and she didn't like this book at all. So I think it's like, it's gonna land with who it needs to land with, but for me it was really less about the story and the character development and the plot and more so just the overall writing. Like I thought Raven Leilani's voice was beautiful and I want to read another book based on her voice. But yeah, it was a good book, a little traumatizing, definitely trigger warnings to be aware of, but I would recommend it. It was, for me, a 3.5 star for the story, but like a 4 star for the writing. And then the very last book, you guys, this is a little switch up from what I had been reading. I have read this book before, but I'm reading it again, or read it again. And this one was The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weiss. It's a self-help book about transforming self-sabotage into self-mastery. And I don't want to say too much about this book, honestly, you just need to read it, but it's a really powerful self-help book or self-development book for those who are trying to release their self-sabotaging ways and transform that into something that could help you bloom, help you master your life. She really breaks it down like step by step why you're doing the things that you're doing. She made me aware of ways that I was self-sabotaging and like ways that I didn't even know or think of that could be self-sabotage. She made me realize like, damn, that is self-sabotage and I didn't know why I was doing that. And then she also gives you solutions. So I find this book really helpful. It's definitely a book that I come back to more times than not. This is my 3rd time reading it and I gained something new from it this time, and it's just one of those books that I feel like you should keep in rotation, keep your mind sharp, just keep you aware of yourself, and yeah, just the ways that we can get off track and how we can try to avoid and minimize those as much as possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed the books that I read the last couple of weeks, and yeah, you guys, I feel like I'm getting out of that reading slump that I was kind of in and just feel excited to be reading more. I love reading in spring and summer, so I'm excited for these next couple seasons. Stay tuned for more book videos, you guys. I have some vlogs coming out. I have some thought videos coming out. I'm just gonna see what hits. But please let me know what you have read recently, what's on your TBR for the spring. Happy spring, by the way. And yeah, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.